Welcome back, college baseball fans. I'm here with not one, but two ACC shortstops with the same last name. One you should be familiar with. He's been in the ACC for the last year. One is just now joining the conference. I am joined by the Lodise cousins, Kyle Lodise of Georgia Tech and Alex Lodise of Florida State. Alex, we'll start with you. How are you doing today?
Good. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to interview you back in Omaha, so you've been one of the favorites already. You friend of the show, friend of the program. And Kyle, we're happy to have you in the conference. How are you settling in at Georgia Tech so far?
Oh, it's been exciting. It's been a good transition. Everything's going pretty smoothly. School's not too bad, and baseball's just been awesome so far.
Yeah, one of the we'll jump right into it here. One of the awesome things with you guys is you both went to the Cape. And we had Lodi Bowl. It was technically Lodi Bowl too, right? Because you guys had played against each other the summer before. Mm-hmm. But you guys got to face each other on July 19th. What was that experience like? Like, I know you guys had a pregame interview with one of the interns up there, but what was the experience like? Just being able to play each other again in an even more intense environment.
Yeah, I mean, that was awesome. I mean, it's just special in itself to be in the Cape, but having like a true family member up there with you, it actually is like a one-of-one moment playing against him up there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's already hard enough to go up there and play, and it was just nice. We actually went to dinner beforehand with his mom and dad, so my aunt and uncle. And then, the next day we proceeded to play against each other, and it was just nice having that familiar face on the field as a family member, not necessarily just a friend. So it was really a cool experience.
Yeah, what was funny is I had started doing this stuff early on in I think Alex was still in Omaha, and I was still paying attention to the Cape, and I was like, Lodise is not a very common last name. And Alex doesn't appear to have a baseball playing brother. So what's going on here? And at some point I just was like, I got to ask. So I DM'd Alex to find out. And he was like, yeah, we're cousins. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So really, really cool. Although Alex's team won 6-0, he had a hit. You went 0 for 3. Is there you give him any, you got bragging rights right now, right, Alex?
Right now, yeah. So we're going to hold on to that as long as we can.
Yeah. I was talking to Kyle pregame, and we were talking about at this point, Florida State has released their schedule, so it's public information that there is not going to be a regular season meeting between your teams. Which, my first thought, I was devastated. But so Kyle, you got to get those bragging rights. You got to hope that you guys meet in Durham, so you guys can duke it out in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, we got to even it out. I mean, I think his team right now they're 2-0 when he was with New Britain Bees the first time, and then Hyannis kind of had our number this summer up in the Cape, so I think we got to take one back and make it 2-1.
Yeah, Kyle, speaking of the Cape, you're making the jump from Augusta to the ACC. How was it preparing you by playing the level of competition that you were in the Cape to kind of prepare you to play at a high level in the ACC?
Yeah, I think that's a accumulation of the best pitchers, players, just athletes in the country. And so just being able to play them in that environment and as historic as that league is, where everything tends to kind of find a way to speed up on you and just with everything in the environment that it is, I think it was just really nice to have a full length of season up there and just experience that in its entirety. And I think that's really prepared me for this fall so far.
Were you originally signed as a temporary player and then ended up playing almost the whole season, right?
Yeah, I was originally supposed to be there for 10 days or games. I forget which one it was, but yeah, originally was there for 10 days. And then after the first practice, met with our manager Sheets, and he was like, yeah, I mean, we're going to want you here the whole summer. So if you want to extend that, and I obviously I was like all for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you hadn't, we would have missed.
Right.
We would have, by the time Alex showed up, you would have been gone. So we would have been denied the Lodi Bowl, and I would have not been able to make that graphic. But real quick, Alex, you basically, I'm sure you got a very little bit of time off between Omaha and the Cape. But what was that experience like for you getting to play up in the Cape?
It was a surreal experience. I mean, it being the historic league it is, it's and a wood bat, getting to play with a wood bat for a summer, getting the experiences on those fields and playing with some of the best players in college baseball. I mean, you get to learn so much from them, and you just, I mean, from the games that you're there, you get better as a player because you're learning from everybody from all different ages, all different schools, and it makes you better no matter how long you're there.
And you also got to play with you had at least one teammate up there. Jackson West was up there. Was anybody else from Florida State with you?
No, just Jax was on my team.
Yeah, it was a little weird when you played somebody like Brewster who had Drew Farrow on the other side. He's your double play partner, and all of a sudden you're facing each other.
Yeah, it was funny because when we played him, he hit like 2 homers against us in the game we played, and I didn't play, and I was just like, dang, Drew, why you gotta do this to us? But it's always good when you see your teammates playing and playing good.
Oh, absolutely. It's just such a cool experience. I can't wait to get up there next year and see some of it in person. Kyle, back to you. You got to be up there for the whole summer. Chatham was a gritty team. I mean, what was it like playing with some of those really, really, really good players?
Yeah,
we talked about Luke. Yeah, we talked about Luke Cantwell before.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I talk to all those guys still just about every day. My roommate Titan Hayes, he's already doing his thing with the Phillies. Griffin Herring, Yankees, and just those guys that are still playing. Like I'll see Luke Cantwell again this year. Ike Irish, we play them in the midweek. So just all those guys that are really, really good baseball players, just kind of having those day-to-day conversations with them, just figuring out what works for them, what slows the game down, even like just mental conversations, like anything that you can learn from or take away from it.
Yeah. And I want to thank you guys over the summer. I've mentioned this graphic a couple times when you guys did face each other in the Cape. I'm going to throw it up on screen. It might cover Kyle's face for a second, but just want to give people an idea of what I'm talking about. You guys actually mentioned this in the pregame interview, and that was like my highlight of the summer, that you guys had mentioned this. I had a blast making this because I think when Alex told me that that you guys were cousins, I immediately looked up when you guys were going to play in the Cape, and it was like 2.5 weeks away or something. I'm like, oh no, am I going to remember this in 2.5 weeks? But I was super pumped to make that graphic. So I wanted to thank you guys for being the highlight of my summer by actually mentioning that, because I'm sure it was pretty cool to hear me being talked about indirectly in the interview.
No, I mean, that's a sick graphic. I said that I saw it. I think it was like 9:30. I woke up before the camp that I had to run. And I saw that, and I sent it to Alex. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah. And Alex is used to me and my memes at this point, so he was probably like, oh, yeah, that's Monty. Yeah. So
make something.
Yeah. But I appreciate it. But you guys, as we just discussed, don't get to play each other. But I did want to mention, because I had this question written before the news, before I knew what the schedule was going to look like. But was your we'll start with you, Alex. Was your parents and the overall family really excited about the prospect of you guys playing each other?
Yeah, it was the first thing that my parents brought up was, oh, you could play Kyle this year. Y'all could play a weekend series. And it was like, that was the very first thing that was brought up. And my dad thinks it's just so cool that we're both in the ACC and we're both shortstops, and just it's so cool.
Yeah, I can relate. That's I mean, the first thing I did when I saw the schedule drop today, I just scanned it and I was like, oh no. And I think I almost tweeted at ACC baseball, how could you not do this? And then I was like, let's calm down a little bit. But Kyle, what about you? Your folks really excited about that possibility? We talked pregame that it probably would have been in Georgia Tech if you guys had played, so you would have been able to host your cousin and show them around Atlanta and show some of the cool restaurants there.
Yeah, because I think last season we went down to Florida State and played them there, so it would have been back here at Georgia Tech. But my dad, and I know his dad as well, are super competitive. So the prospect of us playing against each other in a 3-game set in the ACC together was like, oh, well, we're going to see who's going to have the better series. This is like perfect bragging rights. So, I mean, that was marked off before any other game.
I love that. Yeah, I was looking for that because that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, that might be my trip to Atlanta for the season would be the Lodi Bowl too. Make a nice, fun new graphic. But hopefully I will get to see it in Durham, and that would be pretty special as well, especially if for some reason it's like the championship game or something. That would be epic.
High stakes, yeah.
Ultimate bragging rights. Kyle can erase that 2-0 lead just by getting the ring, right? No. So you guys play. We've talked about how you guys played against each other. Have you guys ever played together before? Kyle, you can answer first.
Yeah, I think when we were like 12 years old, we might have played together. I know we've played together once, like travel ball, 12 years old, but I don't think anything past that we have, because we've just been kind of colliding with schedules and teams that we played with. So,
yeah.
I was just going to agree with what he was saying.
No worries, Alex. I realized when I asked the question, I was like, only one of you really need to answer because it's not going to change anything. But you've both transferred into the ACC. Obviously, Alex, you've been here for a year already. But, knowing that Alex had transferred the summer prior, Kyle, did you reach out to him for advice when you were in that decision-making process?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we talked on multiple occasions. At that time, I was still like working out kind of the situation with like an agent and stuff like that too. So his agent even contacted me and stuff like that, and just kind of figuring out like what the best fit was. I know that our dads talked nightly. So it's nice to have someone that just went through that same exact process the very last season. And so like just being able to bounce ideas off, like how was this conversation? Like, how'd you like this school, this, and this? And so like a lot of some similarities in conversation. So it made it pretty nice.
Yeah, especially in a way that it seemed to work out so well for Alex as well. Alex, were there any thoughts about possibly recruiting him to Florida State? I know you guys have a loaded infield, pretty loaded and stacked, but was there any of that conversation at all?
Was definitely brought up to the coaches, and if we didn't have such a stacked infield, he very well could be here, but.
Yeah, I mean, but as you said, the infield is stacked. You got some great guys out there. We mentioned already Drew Froh, your double play partner. Kyle Fisher is probably getting, a spot this year. Excited to see him. So I get it. And a number of big time freshmen coming in and JUCO guys. So totally get it. Just was curious. Kyle, was there a thought of joining him in Tallahassee?
Yeah, I think one of the first few days after entering the portal, I talked to him, and just the thought of that obviously is really cool, because I mean it's rare enough that you play against each other, so being able to play on the same team would have been really, really unique. But as he said, like they have a really loaded, really talented infield depth, so just would have been hard.
What made Georgia Tech the right fit for you?
Yeah, I think that I kind of had a few points that I felt were dear to me. Obviously, it's close to home. I want my family to come watch me play. And then I really liked Ramsey, and I liked what he does as an offense because, as a position player, it's a great field to hit at. I mean, if you look at his track record with all the guys that he has worked with and come through, like not only do they rake and produce in college, but when they get into pro ball, they continue to do so, which is hard. I mean, you see a lot of really talented guys picked early that kind of fade off and flutter off. But the fact that a lot of his guys produce in pro ball and there's countless major league players. So it was just a really, really good sign.
Yeah, you're echoing a lot of exactly what Drew Burrows said, too, in his interview, a lot about James Ramsey, and he might be one of the best hitting coaches in the country. And you're right, Georgia Tech, even when they aren't necessarily a tournament team, they hit the ball. So it's always fun, even if, sometimes the games don't go their way. But, Alex, what made Florida State the right fit for you?
Being close to home was huge. We're very much the same, where our parents need to be there. We need to have access to our parents, and playing time was also a big thing. I didn't want to go somewhere that I was just going to sit on the bench. I wanted to go somewhere that I could play and be a factor every day in and out. And then there's a lot of kids from my hometown that are that were on the team last year and are going to be on this team this year, and that was also a big factor.
After your season at North Florida, there was a possibility you wouldn't have a starting job somewhere? I would think any school would have jumped at the chance.
Yeah, I just think it was more of the peace of mind of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Did your parents get to go to Omaha?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, yeah. What was that experience like for you? Not just having your parents there, but the overall experience, because it seemed like Link turned that program around very, very quickly. We knew he was capable of doing so, but it just seemed almost more quickly than we thought possible. What was that experience like?
I mean, the entire year was just insane. That team, I mean, that was the most fun I've ever had playing baseball with that team, and we just meshed so well. And Omaha was the most insane thing I've ever been to. 25,000 people at a game is crazy. And it's just, I mean, I think the turnaround was just, we had the returners from years prior and with Cam, Tibs, Haim, and they knew that it was like now or never. And so they kind of like pushed all the new guys to like, now we got to go, we got to play. And I think that was just a big part in them being leaders. And
yeah. Omaha was an incredible experience. It was my first trip there too, and I got to watch 4 ACC teams. Once it was 4 teams, I was like, I have to go. And the only trouble with that is that each day an ACC team that I'd covered all year was getting eliminated, and it was it was brutal. You guys ended up being the last one standing for us, but it was really cool to get to see you guys because I didn't get to see you guys in person that much. I think I got to see you guys at Duke and then at the ACC tournament and then in Omaha. So, but I mean, what a great team watching you guys just in the dugout, just staying relaxed. Even, Cam Leiter's in there and they're trying to bounce the ball and land it onto the dugout step. And then McGuire Holbrook does it on his first try and then walks away and nobody else seems to be able to do it. Just a really cool experience. But Kyle, what was it like seeing Alex playing in Omaha and what's that? I mean, that's got to help motivate you to get Georgia Tech there somehow, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously when he was in Omaha, I was up in the Cape. And so I didn't really get a chance to watch his games live. But I think it was one of the first games he played. I got a text from my uncle, his dad, and he was in an interview post-game, and it was like, that's so awesome. But, I mean, just watching, like, your close personal relative in Omaha at that stage performing and just having that opportunity is just – it's awesome. I mean, just the whole family, that's all we were tuning into.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go back to Alex on this question for his great teammates that he just played with that he touched on a little bit. But first, I want to talk to you, Kyle. Drew Burrows is a special talent. You've gotten to play with him a little bit now. What's that experience like? Because he just seems like he was born to play baseball. I mean, it's the family business. It's all he wants to do. What's that like, being around somebody like that?
Yeah, he's something. He's a great personality. He's honestly pretty good at everything he does. He's one of the most energetic ping pong players I've ever met. I mean, he takes his ping pong seriously. But no, watching his day-to-day work ethic and like understanding like what a guy of that caliber does on a day-to-day basis and like a routine is kind of what makes guys like that really successful. And so just kind of being able to look from the inside versus the outside, as most people do, is just really unique. And you gives like a really good inside perspective of like maybe why he's actually that good and why like he's so consistent with what he does.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a lot of fun to watch. So I was curious to get your first impressions playing with him this fall. But Alex, on your side, I wanted to talk about the trio that you just mentioned, basically James Tibbs, Cam Smith, Jaime Ferrer. I mean, what was it like playing with those guys? I know you talked briefly about the leadership component, but I mean, Cam Smith, what he was doing with exit velocity last year, insane. I think Tibbs going into the Omaha had more home runs than strikeouts. I mean, that's got to have been pretty incredible to watch, a teammate do.
They just would show up day in and day out and just like you knew what you were getting out of them, and they wouldn't like miss a day. Like you show up to the field, they're ready, they're gonna hit their best, they're gonna do their best with defense, and they're all energy guys too. Like Jaime is one of the best teammates you'll have. Cam is one of the best teammates you'll have, and Tibs is a great teammate and a great leader. Like it's like the three of them together actually, like it was the best like 3-man core I think you could have had in the team personally.
Yeah, and I was a big fan of that core because a lot of people like to bring up all the transfers Link brought in, but the core was those 3 guys, and then you guys really complemented them really well. And now they're gone, so guys like you and Max Williams, Jackson West, and Drew Farrow, you guys are going to be the leaders on this team. What are you going to be able to take away from what they did to kind of lead the team going into 2025 that has some pretty high expectations still?
I think it's just going to be a lot of us showing up to the field and playing. Like we don't need to say a lot. If we can just show up to the field and play good baseball, then it's going to motivate others to play well. Like if Jamie just shows up to the field every day, does his throwing, does how he does on the mound, then other pitchers are going to be like, oh, I want to do what he's doing, like following his footsteps, and less of talking and more just doing what you're supposed to, and everything will work out.
Absolutely. And Kyle, what about on your side? You're going to be coming in. I know you're a newcomer, but that Georgia Tech team is really, really, really young. How are you going to, help lead the team?
Yeah, I'm excited. I know it's a lot of newcomers. Like I said, I think it was like 33 we looked at, but I think the prospect of having such talented incoming freshmen, I think we had her perfect game, like the number 2 overall incoming freshman class. So I think that there's going to be a surprising amount of freshmen that are going to have some key roles in this team. And then we have some older guys, some graduate guys that kind of can solidify that piece where experience comes into play in this day and age of college baseball. So I'm very excited with where we're at, in the fall.
Kyle, what are you most excited about as the fall's kind of coming up to a close? You guys obviously have another scrimmage. You got a little bit more practice because you guys are Southern schools. You can go a little bit longer without the weather being as much of a factor. But what are you most excited about as we wrap up the fall?
I'm excited about the untapped potential. I think that the ceiling is extremely high, and our floor right now is not a good indicator of that. Just because I think that we're such a new team with not a lot of returners. I think that we're still in the kind of meshing phase and kind of trying to build that cohesion as a team. And I think that only comes with just more time together and just more time playing. And I think that early on, even come spring, we might see some more of that need to come into play. But as the season goes on, I expect a really close team.
Alex, what about you guys? I mean, you guys have another scrimmage against Alabama, I think, on Saturday, but the fall's kind of wrapping up, and we've seen some really good things out of Florida State in the fall, but is there anything that you're particularly excited about as you guys wrap that up? Is there anyone who surprised you and stood out?
As a team, I'm really excited. I think the potential is super high, and like he said, like their ceiling's very high. I think ours is too. Once we put everything together and play like a team, I think it's going to be really good. Wes Mendez has been very good on the mound for us. I think he's going to be a pitcher to watch out for. And I think we have some freshman bats that could play into the lineup and get a lot of at-bats for us this year. And they've showed that they can hit off these arms.
Yeah, shout out to Brett Nevitt, who has posted video of Miles Bailey hitting absolute nukes to get me really excited. It allows me to help kind of cover you guys from afar when Brett's out there working, the hardest working baseball reporter out there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I saw some great swings from you as well, Alex, Kyle Fisher, so it's really nice to be able to see all this video that a lot of teams I'm not able to see from far away. So, but Wes Mendez is exciting as well. I mean, you've got a ton of transfer pitchers who are really exciting guys and other guys that have been redshirted coming back from injury. And then, of course, Jamie Arnold. I mean, Alex, you have to face him in practice. What is that like? I mean, it's a battle every time, every at bat. And
he's starting to develop a changeup now. It's just a tough at bat, lefty or righty. It's tough, and he's throwing 96, and it's just you have to go into that bat like knowing you're battling. Like you can't just go in and get your hacks off. You got to go and battle and fight to get a good pitch.
Yeah, low slot lefty guy throwing 96 is really, really unfair.
Yeah.
Kyle, you avoid facing him during the regular season. That's the good news about no Florida State. So if you want to look at the silver lining there, you don't have to face Jamie Arnold in the regular season.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping that obviously Leiter also has some speedy recovery. So the fact that that's a potential 1-2 rotation that's not fun, So I guess if there is a positive, that's one takeaway is, I don't really have to go into that game plan against those two guys.
We'll move into a little bit more rapid fire here, but not rapid fire, but more fun stuff. We'll start with you, Kyle. Your welcome to college moment. What was your welcome to college moment where you were like, oh, this is not high school anymore?
Yeah, I think it was 6 a.m. lifts at where I was at Division II. When we did do lifts, it was like 3 o'clock, you're wide awake, you're whatever. And, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. lifts. If you're late, you don't practice the rest of the week kind of thing. So, I was like, oh, it's a change of scenery.
Alex, what about you? Did you have a welcome to college moment?
For me, it was the long practice days. You get to the field at 12 o'clock and you're not leaving until 5:30. So you better get your schoolwork done. You better be ready for that long practice day and just gotta work through it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like a lot of fans forget you guys are also students at pretty good colleges and that you guys have schoolwork that needs to get done at some point. So it's all about that time management. And I think a lot of people don't think about that when you've got these long practices. You guys are pretty highly regarded prospects. So you'll probably have a very extensive pro career, but I want to ask, what's your dream job outside of baseball? Alex, we'll start with you.
Gosh, I've never really thought of that, honestly.
I know. I feel bad asking this question because, when you've got such a high ranking prospect wise, you don't really want to think about
I'm glad you're answering that first, Alex. I got to think.
Yeah. Outside of baseball, I want to stay in sports. Like I'm doing sports management here. Probably, I don't know. I'd probably want to be like I wouldn't want to coach, but I would want to be like somebody that does like their stats and does their numbers and kind of like accounts for like that kind of thing. I don't even know what the job would be, but
right.
I just want to work like within a team, like within a sport of baseball. I'd do football, but I wouldn't want to leave the sports world.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've had trouble getting people. A lot of people will say coaching. I think Luke Cantwell went with being an agent. Macon Winslow apparently went with he did go outside of baseball. Apparently, his father owns a sod farm, and I thought I was like, okay. But it's hard to think about that when baseball's been your whole life. So I get it. I don't know if that's a great question for me to keep asking, but I've been doing it. So, but Kyle, you should have been prepared for this question. You said you watched the Luke Cantwell episode.
Yeah. I did. And that's a typical answer out of him. But no, so when I was at Augusta, I was dead set on doing sports medicine, whether that was like orthopedics or a physician or something like that. But now, like, as I've kind of went deeper and deeper into like the analytical side of stuff, and I would see that day to day, I wouldn't mind doing something along the lines with like analytics of baseball and just staying in the sport, because it's going to be hard for me to gravitate away from it, obviously.
Yeah, you guys could start your own business together, the Lodise Analytics Company. There you go.
Good
got
catch,
it. Fixed it.
There it is.
We got a couple more questions left. Kyle, we'll start with you. I don't know how much. You're close to home, so you should have a good answer for this. But local food staple. Let's say Alex is coming to town, the family's coming to town. Let's say in an alternate universe that regular season matchup's happening. Where are you guys going to dinner?
Are we talking about back home, or are we talking about in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
Okay, in Atlanta. So there's a Brazilian steakhouse that we always go to, Fogo de Chao, and it's all you can eat: steak, beef, cuts of sirloin. We just went there before our Kennesaw State game last Friday, and it's hard to beat.
Is this the Brazilian Steakhouse?
Yeah.
Yep, I think Drew had that same answer. So I'm coming this weekend. So I'm getting some Brazilian Steakhouse.
Absolutely.
Alex, let's say you're hosting in Tallahassee. What's the go-to food spot?
Yeah, there's a place here called Tibs, Montana Grill. My dad loves it. And they do like bison meat and regular beef. It's really good. But that's probably one of my more favorite like dinner places to go to.
Love that. Let's move on to toughest pitcher you faced in the ACC last year, Alex. If you want to expand that beyond ACC to any pitcher you face, that's fine as well.
I feel like the easy answer is Burns. His slider was just something else, and he threw it at 87 and it moved 2 feet. I'm trying to think of other pitchers. Woolfolk from UVA was pretty good. Santucci was really good.
Oh yeah.
I'd say
it's funny. I think that was Santucci's best game of the year because it was the only time he didn't really have any walks against you guys, and Jamie didn't have his best start, and I believe you guys still won that game. And I thought Jamie was pretty good, but afterwards when I talked to him, he was like, "Oh, I was not my best." And I was like,
I think that was the game that we scored in the first. They scored in the first, and then nobody scored for the rest of the game.
That might have been. That sounds right.
Yeah.
So it was fun. That was the first time I got to see you guys in person last year. So it was a lot of fun because I've been dying to see Jamie pitch up to that point. So, Kyle, who was the toughest pitcher you faced in the Cape last year? Or in the summer, I guess.
I would say there's two that stick out. I think Volchko from Stanford was really good, partially because it was at our field and we don't have the best backdrop. But, I mean, it's 96, 98 cutters with 92-mile-an-hour slider. So it's a tough at-bat. And then I thought Ianson for Katuitt. I think he's at LSU now.
Yeah.
I thought Ianson was tough. He had a really, really good curveball, 4-pitch mix. And he had it going that game as well. So I thought it was a good arm too.
Is there a pitcher you're looking forward to competing against? I don't necessarily want to say facing because you're not necessarily looking forward to facing that person, but like testing yourself against, I guess.
We don't play Wake, which they always have a good staff. I haven't looked at their staff this year, but we play Clemson at our place as well. I'm looking forward to facing Kyle Johnson from Duke just because I played with him this summer. And so I know that, I mean, he's a really good arm. And so I think that Duke will also roll out some more good arms. They always have a good staff, so that'll be exciting.
Absolutely. All right, last question before I let you guys go. Kyle, I'll start with you. What ACC ballpark are you most looking forward to playing in besides Georgia Tech?
I'm trying to think of where we go. Notre Dame will be a really sick series. However, it's going to be our opening ACC weekend in South Bend. So that'll be, I think, I'm gonna go ahead and guess. It's gonna be I'm gonna guess it's gonna be snowing, and then we go down to Miami. So that'll be nice. That'll be exciting.
Get that mark like magic. I believe Florida State is also going to Miami this year. Alex, what's your favorite ACC ballpark besides your own?
From the ones that I'm for that we're going this year, I kind of want to. We're going to Cal, so I'm kind of excited to see what that's like in California. I know Virginia is a nice ballpark, but we play at home, so it's.
You just missed it your freshman year when you were at North Florida.
Yeah.
They were in Charlottesville.
Mm-hmm. But we also go to Notre Dame. That'll be. I don't think it's that early, but hopefully it won't be as cold.
But you guys only have to leave Florida like 4 times the whole year, so it's fine. Yeah. You'll be all right.
They're lucky.
Our first 4 weeks are all home, so we're in Florida for the entire month of February.
Well, guys, that's all the question I've got for you. I really appreciate you guys coming on, especially coming on together. Great little family reunion, and I've been looking forward to this. So I really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm looking forward to seeing both you guys have monster years. So, and plenty of memes. Real quick, I do have one more question. I know that Alex's nickname is Lodi. Do you have, since you have the same last name, is that also your nickname?
Yeah, they that's what they call me here right now, Lodi. Where I was at last year was Dose for number. I just wear 2, or I've gotten the nickname recently of Spaz, just because of my high energy. But I mean that's pretty usual.
Yeah. Well, good. I just need to make sure I can use the same meme and just switch out Alex for Kyle and just pretend that it's a whole different meme. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
yeah. You guys are awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Kyle, I'll see you this weekend, hopefully, as you guys take on Jacksonville State. And Alex, I wish I could have gotten down there for that Auburn scrimmage. That would have been pretty epic. But I will hopefully see you in the spring when you guys come to Blacksburg. But obviously, I'll be paying attention. Thanks, guys, for coming on. And for ACC Central, we'll be back in a couple of days with another interview. And stay tuned.
Thank you, Monty.